Oh, yeah. Is it Thursday already? Is it 2025 already? Oh my God. 2025 sounds like a fake year, but Happy New Year to all you guys. We got an episode to talk about Skeleton Crew episode 6. So there's a little bit of a mixed bag when it comes to this episode. Some people calling it filler, some people calling it the worst episode of the show so far. But I have to disagree with that. We're going to talk about, break down episode 6 and talk about episodes 7 and 8 because there's only 2 episodes left and we might be getting Order 66 flashbacks next week because we're learning about Jod Na Nawood's backstory. So without further ado, let's dive into all of it. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing on this fine Thursday afternoon? What's up, chat? Okay, so episode 6 was incredible. As per usual, this show keeps just building towards something epic that I hope is coming in this 7th and 8th episode. But it's still concerning to me that this show seems to be going under the radar with many normie Star Wars fans. The viewer numbers for the Skeleton Crew series are still the lowest of the low, lower than Andor even, which is not the worst thing in the world. Andor's still a great show, and it was the lowest of the low before this, so it's not the end of the world. However, it's not good news either. There is a good news side of it now because Skeleton Crew is #1 on Disney Plus on all around the world right now, as we found out in the Discord. But without further ado, let's say hi to everybody in the chat, shall we? And while I do, rank this 6th episode of Skeleton Crew out of 10 in the chat. So let's say hi to everybody in the chat, but rank it out of 10 in the chat. What do you give this episode on a scale of 1 to 10? In the chat? I gave it an 8.5 out of 10 in my breakdown video, and I'm sticking to that. I think it was better than episode 1, better than episode 4, but it wasn't as good as episode 2, 3, and 5 to me. But tell me what you think in the chat. All right. WUV Grad, what is up? Lawrence in the house. Tafari Tano, what is up? Adam, how we doing? Fearless in the house. Haja, what is up? Chris, what is up? JC, what is up? John Groom in the house. Robert, how we doing? Annie K, what is up? Ian in the house. DK, how we doing? Mando United in the house. 50 Thunderer, what is up? Brandon Baker, how we doing? You guys know the deal. If I missed you, just yell at me in the chat. Let's give everybody a nice little...
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
Okay, so if you have not already, rank this 6th episode out of 10 in the chat, and let's put up a poll, actually. Let's put up a poll. If you haven't smashed a freaking like on this stream, I don't know what you're waiting for. Do that, please. And let's do this. What did you think? Not dud. What did you think of Skeleton Crew episode 6? Did you love it? Did you love it? Did you like it? Were you like, I mean, it's all right? Or did you hate it? Were you like, that was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life? Did you hate it? Tell me what you think. Tell me what we think, chat. I got a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. Wow. 8, 5 out of 10, 3.5. Holy crap, that's a low score. 7.5, 8.5, 9.8. Wow. I just wanted more time, partially because it was so well done, but it felt like it was a lot quicker. It was the second shortest episode we've had so far. I've heard the complaint of the runtime. Yeah. Ms. Honey, first a newbie around here. Wow. What's up, Ms. Honey? I appreciate you. Melissa, what's up? I'm doing good. How are you? So happy New Year to everybody. Let's start with that. Happy New Year. It is 2025. We made it through 2024. 2024 was quite the year. I mean, we could sit here and just have so much fun talking about it. Of course, we had the great blue milk dumping of 2024. But for the channel, it was an incredible year. But for Star Wars content, depending on whether or not you like The Acolyte, it was an incredible year as well. From the Bad Batch Season 3, putting the perfect end cap to that animated series, to Tales of the Empire, to The Acolyte, to Rebuild the Galaxy, to Star Wars Outlaws, to Skeleton Crew. Now, Skeleton Crew is also kicking off 2025 because there's still 2 more episodes left. But 2025 has a lot to live up to. 2024 was quite the year. So we'll see how that goes. But you got Andor Season 2, you got Star Wars Celebration, you got some unannounced Star Wars projects that could be coming out this year. A lot to look forward to. Yeah. But let's talk Skeleton Crew episode 6, shall we? So let's break this episode down a little bit, all right? So it opens where episode 5 left off. And if you don't remember that, well, it was a crazy ending. Jod turned on the kids, literally, almost literally, stabbing them in the back by almost stabbing Fern. But he turns on the kids, takes control of the Onyx Cinder and SM-33 by challenging Fern to a battle hand-to-hand to the death. It didn't have to go that way. She yielded, and the kids escaped down a hatch in Tack Rened's lair. We know that. So episode 6 opens where that one ended off. These kids falling down these tubes as they arrive on the ground, or the surface, I guess, of Lanupa. And they quickly realize that KB is not okay. But this is not a concern to Fern or really KB either. And we get a look here. Neil is very concerned, as you can tell on his face. Neil is very concerned, and so is Wyrm. I don't know, Wyrm looks disgusted here. But KB is not moving. And this is where we first sort of get the realization that KB, those medical needs that people were talking about from episode 3 and episode 5, those are very, very important. So huge shout out to all you guys for noticing that. Like, it was only in the subtitles where it said she has these medical needs. Her parents were talking about these medical needs that she has. So huge shout out to you guys for figuring that one out. I did not catch that. Nope, I'm not taking credit for that at all. That was all you guys. But the medical needs from KB became extremely important in this episode. We kind of learn what happened. There's this accident, and we'll get to in a little bit, but she has extreme medical needs. That's why she didn't want to go into the spa, and that's why she kind of wants to get back home, because this adventure is not for her. She needs attention medically immediately. So she freezes up, and Fern says that she can help them, and she does help them because KB gets back up and she's okay later on. But while all that's happening, we get Jod Na Nawood coming out of the Tack Rened's lair with all these gold chains and pearl necklaces all around him. And as he comes out, he is met with the workers and the people who are sort of just at the spa. And I put this in my breakdown video, but it's pretty cool nonetheless. A few of these characters, this one all the way off here to the left, and then this weird looking, don't even want to start speculating on what those are, but this lady right here too, were both characters that are on Canto Bight in The Last Jedi. So some sequel connections here, some fans not really happy about that, but there are some sequel characters at this spa that are also on Canto Bight. It's a rich person place. Canto Bight is a rich person place. This spa is a rich person place. So it makes sense that we'd be seeing some familiar characters. It's just a little bit of a cool little Easter egg there. Yeah. But Jod gets welcomed by our boy Gunter. Jaleel White plays, of course, the character of Gunter, if I can find a frame of Gunter in it. Nope. Whatever. You know who Gunter is. He's played by Jaleel White, and they capture Jod Na Nawood. Not how I thought this episode was going to open, if I'm being completely honest. I thought Jod was going to go off with the kids, maybe reunite with them, have to escape with them for some reason or another, maybe to fight against the pirates together. I don't know. This is not how I saw it going. They immediately leave in the opening scene. Now, he does try to attack the pirates with SM-33, but that doesn't work, and they actually take SM-33 with them. I know. In the breakdown video, I said, I don't know where SM-33 went, and I didn't, because I missed it, okay? God! The whole comment section was like, Mike's an idiot, SM-33 went with the pirates. Are you stupid? I'm stupid, okay? I missed it. SM-33 does get dragged away by the pirates. He goes off with Jod and Gunter to Brutus, so he is with them. The coordinates are with the pirates, okay? I missed it. I'm not perfect, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not perfect. God. But let's keep going. So they take Jod and they take SM-33 and they take them to Brutus. But before they leave, X-Wings arrive. Now, tell me what you think in the chat, but I think the only logical explanation to why these X-Wings arrive is the people who work here. Like, they must have just called them in. There's no real other reason for the X-Wings to just appear out of nowhere unless the people who work the spa are the ones who called them in. I mean, right? The kids didn't call him in. Jod definitely didn't call him in. What's today's t-shirt, Mike? It says sarcasm and tech support since 1977. And it's R2D2. It's a great shirt. But the X-Wings come flying in. And what's really cool about this is this tells the kids who the good and bad guys are. Because last episode, Jod stabbed them in the back. So now they don't trust Jod, or they never really trusted him, but they saw him as a good-ish guy because he could wield the Force, because he saved them from being imprisoned on the pirate port. But they realize because of the X-Wings coming in and blasting the pirate ships, it's very important because now the kids realize that the good guys are the New Republic, are the X-Wings, and the bad guys are the pirates and Jod Na Nawood. So that's a very important scene that seems to be like a throwaway thing, but it's very important. The kids looking up, watching these X-Wings destroy the pirate ships. It's very, very important. So the kids realize that the New Republic are the good guys, but they just left them there stranded because they didn't see them on the surface of the planet. So now they're trapped with no way home. Well, not really no way home. They have their ship, the Onyx Cinder, and they realize that they have to climb up the side of this cliff to get to it. But Fern wants to do that, and KB's like, no way, Jose. No way, Fern. She's not going to climb up the side of the mountain because she knows she'll freeze up and she won't make it. However, this is when we get sort of the conflict of the episode between Fern and KB. KB knowing that Fern's only wants to do what she wants to do and not really going to take into account that KB has these medical needs. And that's sort of the conflict. That's sort of the character development that we go through with these kids. The fact that they can't trust each other. And then, of course, in the end, they all gang back together and reclaim their ship in a very cool, awesome way. But we'll get to that in a little bit. They split up. Neil going with Fern and Wyrm going with KB, getting a little bit of a new power dynamic or a new, I guess, just dynamic in general with these kids. Pretty cool. But let's keep going. Oh, I can't do that. Sorry, that will get copyright. So we can't do that. But we get introduced to these trash crabs. Where was that? This one. Oh, hang on. We get introduced. Oh. We get introduced to these trash crabs. And immediately you notice that there's like a C-3PO looking leg right here. Possibly his leg that he was missing in The New Hope. No, that's just, yeah. So they all have sort of droid parts attached to them. They're crabs. And on Earth, crabs use pretty much any shell as their shell. Or I guess that's more so hermit crabs, but you know what I mean. And these crabs are doing the same. They're taking droid parts and they're using them as their shells. Funny little throwaway line that not a lot of people kind of were talking about was how Wyrm says they must be intelligent because they speak. And I put it in my breakdown video, but it's another callback to a Qui Gon Jin line. Last episode, episode 5, we got Jod quoting Qui Gon Jin. And in this line, we get another reference to a Qui Gon Jin line in The Phantom Menace where he is talking to Jar Jar Binks. And Jar Jar Binks says, I spec. Or spec. Yeah, he says spec or speak or something like that. And he says, just because you don't speak doesn't make you intelligent. So that's sort of the same lesson that Wyrm learns in this episode that Qui-Gon tells us in The Phantom Menace. So Wyrm has a lot to learn, we'll put it that way. But he thinks because they speak, they're intelligent and they will take them to some sort of civilization or a person who can help them get to their ship. Well, that doesn't work, but we'll get to that in a second. So we follow the trash crabs and the kids split up. Then we get to Captain Brutus's ship, and we get to see Jod give this incredible speech, as some people notice that this kind of looks like a Venator or maybe even Moff Gideon's ship off to the left. Pretty cool there. But Brutus finds Jod guilty. Guilty of everything, I guess. Guilty for his heinous crimes, as so he puts it. And he sentences him to death to the airlock. But that doesn't happen because this nice lady over here, she reminds them that there's a pirate code that they have to abide by. And that means that Jod gets equal time, the ability to speak before he dies. And Jod, being the goat that he is, convinces all the pirates in this room that he can be the one who saves them. He saves his own life by convincing every single pirate in this room that he has the answers, that he has the ability to print money. Because he pulls out one of the Old Republic credits that one of the kids had. He convinces them that Tak Renid, the guy who was looking, the legendary pirate who was looking for At-Aten, the treasure of At-Aten. He convinces him that, well, he convinces him the truth, that he did go to Tak's lair, and he did find a hologram message from Tak that confirms that the At-Aten treasure is real, that there's an Old Republic mint on the planet of At-Aten. And he convinces all these pirates of it. Now, the thing is, he's not the leader of these pirates anymore. He's not. He's still just the low man. He's still a prisoner right now. But Brutus does agree to go to At-Aten with the coordinates that SM-33 has in his head. And if the treasure is there, well, then we'll see what happens. But if the treasure is not there, then Jod gets sent out the airlock. Now, what's pretty interesting to me, chat, is that Jod has 1, the Force, and 2, a lightsaber. Yes, the lightsaber was taken from him, but it's right there on Brutus's chair. Why doesn't Jod just use the Force like Luke in Return of the Jedi, grab the lightsaber, and chop off Brutus's head and take the throne? It's a little bit of a different tactic. You are going to be leading by fear, I guess, unlike Boba Fett, who leads by respect. But why doesn't he just chop off Brutus's head, take the throne, and then go to At-Aten and prove to them that there are all the credits there that they could possibly desire? Why not just, instead of maybe dying to the airlock, why not just take control? Chat? I think the Old Republic mint convinces them. No, it does. It absolutely does. But Jod does the convincing. Yeah. Bloodthirsty Mike. Okay. Do I like to see lightsabers in action? Yes. No, I love Brutus. Okay. 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 Could the C-3PO leg that's being carried by the droid have been the silver leg from A New Hope? I mean, maybe, but probably not. You think he Jedi mind tricked all of them? I don't think he had to. I mean, the promise to a pirate of infinite credits is probably enough to convince them to be on your side. Yeah, I don't think he had to use a Jedi mind trick on all these people. But let's rewind a little bit. What do we really know about Jod Na Nawood? He doesn't want to be discovered as a Force user. That's a big deal. Why not? All of these pirates that worked for him don't even know that he has the ability to wield the Force. He's kept that a secret from all these pirates, but he showed the kids. Now, he had to show the kids to free them and probably to get them to trust him. But why hasn't he shown these pirates that he has the ability to wield the Force? Somebody mentioned in my breakdown video that it's because he doesn't want to have a big target on his back. But we're in the New Republic era now. This is not the time of the Empire. There's not people hunting down Force users in the galaxy. They're actually being celebrated with Luke Skywalker's Jedi Temple and all that other stuff. So we're not in the time of the Empire anymore. He shouldn't be scared to use the Force. So why doesn't he? Now, the little we know of Jod, and a lot will be explained in the next episode, as Jude Law has so graciously told us that episode 7 will be when we learn about the backstory of Jod Na Nawood, and it's actually Jude Law's favorite episode of the entire series. But what we do know of Jod's character so far is that 1, he can wield the Force. 2, his home planet was ash and dust, so maybe there was some sort of war there. The Clone Wars, maybe, but he's older than that, so maybe a war prior to that. I don't know. And that's about it. In episode 4, was it? 3? 4? 4. In episode 4, when they go to Akron, we see Jod make a deal with the locals there. I thought at the time that he might have killed all of them. And you guys were like, no, Mike, you're just bloodthirsty yet again. Hey, you know what? I just think Jod's a bad guy. Let's put it that way. I think Jod has the ability, because he can wield the Force, because he can do all this stuff, to have killed all those people on Akron. And the same thing I think right here with all these pirates. I think Jod has the ability to take his lightsaber, slice off Brutus's head, and take control for himself. I don't think it's past him to do something like that. He would have killed Fern if she didn't yield. He's not a good guy, chat. As much as I love Jude Law as an actor, he's not playing a good guy right now. He's just not. He's a bad guy. He's a bad guy. Will he come back around and maybe be the hero in the end and save the kids in some sort of way? Maybe. But right now, he's not. And you better believe that once he gets this Old Republic mint, he's not going to be sharing it. He's not going to be going back with these pirates. He has the treasure that he needs to live forever. By himself. With all the treasure that he could possibly desire, he can print. And let's not forget, in one of the only remaining scenes from this trailer for Skeleton Crew is this. This one scene of Jod Na Nawood, with a lightsaber on his hilt, back together again with the kids in the new and improved Onyx Cinder. As you can tell, the landing gear is different and it looks nice and shiny like we saw at the end of the episode. But this is one of the only frames from this trailer that we've yet to see. And it's a very strange thing, because currently, right now, at the end of episode 6, Jod is with the pirates on their way to Atten, yes, and the kids are in this new Onyx Cinder on their way home to Atten. They're not together. Jod doesn't even have his lightsaber, and he's a prisoner with the pirates. So this scene alone confirms that these kids will be getting back together with Jod. He gets his lightsaber back, and who knows what happened to the pirates? Is this the treasure right there on the ship? All these crates right here? Is that the treasure? Is that all the credits his heart could desire? What do we think? Let's get back to the 6th episode. We'll speculate about this frame in a second. Let's get back to breaking down this episode. So he does convince all the pirates to go to Atten and to see if he's right. See if this Old Republic mint actually exists. We then cut back to the kids. After he convinces them all this, we then cut back to the kids. And now KB has shut down again. She shut down again. And Wyrm and KB working together have to recreate, or I guess piece together, a microfuse for the back of her head. And this is where we learn about the accident that she was in. We don't know if it was like a speeder bike accident or whatever it could have been, but she was in an accident that led her to the way that she is now. Part cyborg, with a big chunk of her brain being robotic, at least, from what we see when Wyrm pulls the thing out of the back of her head. Now, the microfuse is pretty interesting. The fact that they can just recreate it, it's sort of just a metal bar, but it's scary nonetheless. And Wyrm saves her life. But when he saves her life, she just kind of pops back up like nothing was wrong. And she says, what did you think it would be? Or I bet you thought it would be a little bit more exciting to save somebody's life. Anyway, thanks, Jedi. And I mentioned this in the breakdown video, but let's talk about it now. She calls him a Jedi. Now, obviously, she's just boosting his ego like insane right now. Calling Wyrm a Jedi is like making his dreams come true. He worships the Jedi. He wants to be a Jedi, I'm sure. But fans have been speculating now. Is it possible that Wyrm, of all these characters, could actually become a Jedi? The theory has been going around since episode 1, actually probably before episode 1 of this series, that one of these kids could be Force sensitive. And the most likely option is Wyrm at this point. His fascination with the Jedi, the fact that he sort of worships them in a sense, like it makes the most sense that Wyrm would be the one who could be Force sensitive. But with that being said, tell me in the chat, do you think it's possible that one of these 4 kids from the Skeleton Crew series could be Force sensitive? And if so, who? Which one? If it were me, and I do think that one of them could be Force sensitive, it's got to be Wyrm. It's got to be. Fern? Interesting. Nope, none of them? Okay. I respect that completely. It's possible that none of them are. You don't have to be a Jedi to be a hero. That's true, too. That is also true. Wyrm and Fern? Okay. Snowball. Oh, my God. I hope it's Neil. KB or Wyrm. KB, I don't think. I mean, maybe. I think her cybernetics give her advancements, but I don't think that's the Force. I think she just is sort of like better than everybody because she has a robot brain. Yeah. Well, Cannibal the Dragon brings up a great point. Neil sort of has the most effect on others. He's the peacekeeper. In episode 4, when we go to At Akron, we learn about sort of the war that At Akron is at and how Neil wants to be a peacekeeper. In the Jedi, well, they were peacekeepers at one point before they were all generals in a war. Yeah. Me and Samantha were watching Clone Wars Season 2 last night, and it's the first Mandalore arc where Satine is supposed to be this peacekeeper. And she doesn't want to be a part of the war at all. And the Jedi, of course, have become soldiers in a war. And she has this whole backstory with Kenobi, but the two of them are now on very opposing sides. Obi-Wan is a general in a war, and he's trying to sort of bring the war to Mandalore. And Satine wants no part of it, so they're just fighting constantly. And it does make sense. The Jedi have gone very far away from what they were supposed to be, peacekeepers. That's sort of what led to the downfall of the Jedi, but that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother time. But Neil is sort of what the Jedi were supposed to be, peacekeepers. So, hey, the argument for Neil is definitely there. Yeah. Neil is like the kids from the Bad Batch Season 3, who were afraid to climb. He was apparently Force sensitive. So maybe Neil? Actually, that's very true. At the end of the Bad Batch Season 3, those kids were afraid to climb, weren't they? Huh. Good connection. I like that a lot. So far, we see Wyrm idolizing Fern so much. He needs to learn to be a leader at some point. That's true, but to me, it seems like these kids are like, what, 11, 12, 13 years old? It feels to me that Wyrm's like the youngest of the group. He's definitely the shortest of the group, maybe Neil, but he's definitely the shortest of the group, and that's sort of, like, Fern and KB, to me, seem a little bit older than Wyrm. Like, a little bit more experienced, almost. In almost all of the scenes. Like, in this episode in particular, when they're about to split up, they have that whole argument, and Fern's like, I'm not having this kiddie argument, this baby argument with you anymore. You know? Wyrm could pull a Sabine. I don't think Wyrm will be using the Force in this show. I'd be shocked if any of the kids just outright and use the Force. But that would not be called pulling a Sabine. Sabine had a decade of training before that. Yeah. If any of these kids are Force sensitive, I don't want it to be Wyrm. Wow. He makes whiny Anakin from episode 1 look like a grown-up. Well, that's sort of the same connection there. It's the parallels between the Force users we've seen in the past. Look at Luke Skywalker, or like you said, Anakin from episode 1. They're whiny little kids. That's what Wyrm is right now. Even Ahsoka Tano in the first couple seasons of the Clone Wars is a whiny little kid. That seems to be sort of the parallel between all these kid Force users, is they are just whiny little kids. Uncle Owen. Or, of course, episode 1, Anakin. So I don't know. I think that's even more evidence to support that Wyrm could be the one to be Force sensitive if any of these kids are Force sensitive. Again, if. That's a big if. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. So they do fix KB's sort of whole deal here. They fix the micro fuse in her head, and Wyrm saves the day. But we cut back to Neil and Fern. If I can find it here. Yeah. And they're climbing up the side of this mountain. Neil's legs are too short, so they have to tie a rope to him and climb their way up. But as they're climbing, they notice that their ship is being taken away. Whoops. It's being taken to the junkyard because there's nobody left to sort of take care of the ship. Sorry, I need a sip of water. Inklet with a very generous $2 holla says, trash crab impression, please. Well, thank you, Inklet. I appreciate the super chat. I really, really do. And sure. Follow. Home. Is that good enough? Is that good? Friendly. Follow. Home. I appreciate it, Inklet. I do. Okay, so the ship starts getting taken away, and KB and Wyrm realize they're in big trouble. They've followed their way back to this big old crab monster. Now, a few little cool details about this giant crab monster. One, they brought back Phil Tippett to do the motion capture for this character. Motion capture. Phil Tippett is the guy who did all the sort of, or not all, but a lot of the motion capture stuff and claymation stuff for the original trilogy. Most probably memorable is the Rancor from Return of the Jedi, and this monster does sort of have the feeling of that Rancor from Return of the Jedi. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's Tippett. What did I just say? Phil Tippett? Phil Tippett? Tippett? What? Did I not just say that? Yeah. So Phil comes back to do the motion capture for this giant crab monster, but Neil has the good line that says, why do I keep picking the wrong people or something like that? Because he picked Jod. He thought Jod was going to be a good guy, and then he picks these trash crabs, and of course they end up being bad guys. But we got actually a little behind the scenes look at this, and this is pretty cool. So let's take a look at this. So, Easter eggs from this episode with the crab monster. Take a gander at this.
The way that we approach the design process on Tetanus, the mama.
His name is, or her name, I guess, Mama Crab. Her name is Tetanus. Tetanus is the thing that you get when you touch a rusty nail. Of course, it's a very rusty crab monster.
Crab. Doug basically said to me, like, okay, it's a giant kind of crab monster. It puts stuff on its back. I really wanted to make sure that when we were putting the junk on it, it wasn't just random stuff. I actually tried to use as many little bits from model kits that were used on the original films. That's our little R2-D2. He's in.
Actually, before we get to R2, he talks about these model kits from the original trilogy.
That were used on the original.
So, like, when they were making the original trilogy, they were making the Millennium Falcon and all these other ships and stuff. They literally just found these model kits, like hundreds of them, thousands of them, and just took pieces and just placed them all across the ships. Like, that's how they made the ships, or the designs for the ships, and the Death Star too, and all that stuff, was just model kits, stuff like this. So they wanted to take that and use it here as well.
Original films. That's our little R2-D2.
So R2-D2 is on the Mama Crab, Tetanus.
He's in there all rusted up, and we actually even made him so that he's animatable, so you can move him around. So there's a little C3.
C3PO is also on this. So C3PO and R2-D2 for a while were in pretty much every single Star Wars project. They're in every movie. Are they in Solo? Maybe they're not in Solo. Was Solo the first one they weren't in? Whatever. They were for a while in every Star Wars project. The Clone Wars, even Star Wars Rebels, they make an appearance. And now they're in Skeleton Crew. They weren't in The Mandalorian. Actually, R2-D2's in The Mandalorian. C-3PO's in Ahsoka. Yeah. Whoops.
Over here. We made him so we could move his little hand.
I am C-3PO.
There's a K2SO.
Even a K2.
Oh, I think that might be him right here.
Congratulations.
K2 will be in Andor Season 2 next year.
It's just you and me, baby.
That's pretty cool. A little behind the scenes on how they created the crab monster thing. But still pretty awesome. And the crab monster is not done yet. As the kids come in, or Fern and Neil come in and save the day, swooping in and picking up our friends, and they crash land into whatever. But they get shot down, or I guess shot down, thrown down by this crab monster that throws a rock at one of the ships. So they crash land, and they all make up. Fern says sorry, KB says sorry. They have this whole emotional moment that's interrupted by their ship being eaten by a trash compactor, or some sort of trash compactor. So they have to hop in, they have to get together, bring themselves all together to reclaim their ship, the Onyx Cinder. So they hop in. If I can get a good frame here. So they hop in and they have to do what they've learned in the past. Neil's flown this ship once, so he's the guy who's going to fly it. KB fixed the engine when they were first on at Atten, so she's going to go hype up the engine. Fern's going to help Neil fly, I guess, a little bit. And Wyrm's going to go hit the gunner seat, which he did in episode 3. So that all this stuff that happened in the first 5 episodes have been leading them to this, their ability to fly this ship, to save their ship without SM-33 and without Jod. And well, it doesn't really work. They're going to get eaten by this thing until they remember the button that SM-33 told them to never press, or a switch, I guess it's a switch. And this brings us all the way back to episode 2, where Wyrm wanted to press the big red button, and SM-33 told him, no, never press that. It will destroy the hull of the ship. But little did we know that destroying the hull of the ship would make it a brand new, cool, sparkly, shiny, silver, awesome, cool Onyx Cinder ship. So they flip the switch. They flip the switch, and the entire hull of the Onyx Cinder goes kaboom. But that leads us with this awesome... Hang on, chat. See if I can get the best frame of this. This awesome, cool, shiny, new Onyx Cinder. Now, I've heard some people say that they liked the old Onyx Cinder better than the new one. It was a big argument in the watch party. Tell me in the chat. All right, let's do it this way. Give me a 1 into the chat if you like the first Onyx Cinder, the original Onyx Cinder. And give me a 2 if you like the new, the improved, the shiny, the silver, the very almost mall-looking, mantis sort of looking ship. 1 or 2. 1 is old, 2 is new. What do we think, chat? Wow. Julian 3, really? This is crazy. All right, we got to pull this. All right, we're pulling it up, chat. We're pulling it up. This is crazy to me. I thought this would be the new one, and it wasn't even close. But it seems like people are pretty attached to that old Onyx Cinder. Let's pull it up. Let's pull it up, chat. I'm gonna end this poll. By the way, what did you think of episode 6 of Skeleton Crew? 54% of you loved it. 30% of you liked it. That right there is 84%. Nice. And 14% of you said meh, and 0% of you hated it. That's awesome to hear. Let's pull this up, though. Which version... we'll just put it this way. Which Onyx Cinder... That's not how you spell Onyx. Onyx Cinder do you like more? The old one or the new one? Tell me in the chat, old or new, which one do you prefer? To me, it's the new one, and it's like not even close. Yes, the old one was cool. It's all right, but the new one is so cool. Put a both option? No, both. No, you can only like one. Yeah. Well, the question is, which one do you like more, right? Did I say more? Yeah, I put which one do you like more. So you can't like both more. It doesn't even make sense. That don't make no sense. That no English. But we'll see. Oh, 75% so far say new one. Yeah. That's what I thought. Chat? The new one doesn't have a Lego set? Not yet. Not yet. Okay, but here's the sort of big question that was provoked from this. Why did SM-33 tell them not to hit that switch to destroy the hull when it creates a brand new, sparkly, shiny new ship? What purpose was that hull serving? Chat? What do we think? Happy New Year to you, B-Man. Happy New Year to you. Does it have it where it counts 0.5 at light speed? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? As a pirate, it needs protection. Interesting. It was armor/disguise. Interesting. You can only do that once. True. Maybe it's a stolen Sith ship? Oh my. Security and armor. I think that's probably what it was. It was armor for the outside of the ship because it's a pirate ship. They needed as much armor as they could get. And now this new version probably doesn't have that much security. But somebody also brought up the fact that it could be sort of a disguise, like some people are saying in the chat right now. It's possible that the hull was what kind of allowed it to enter and exit at Atten. Let's not forget there's this barrier that is on the outside of Atten that people seem to think is supposed to stop ships from coming in and out. The droids on Atten seem to think that's what's going on. More storage? I mean, the ship didn't get much smaller. Yeah, it got a little bit smaller, but not much smaller. It's still a pretty big-ass ship. I don't know about storage. It kind of looks like in the Inquisitor ship, but a new version. Some people were saying that, yeah, it looks like the Inquisitor ship meets Darth Maul's ship, meets the Mantis a little bit, which is Cal Kestis' ship in the Jedi games. It's got similarities to a lot of these different ships. For sure. The old one was the armor. Tak explained that in the hologram. Did he? What did he say in the hologram? Why didn't the pirates just get a ship that had better armor anyway, instead of retrofitting it? Well, I think this ship, I mean, it's a pretty badass ship anyway. So they probably were just like, let's put some armor on it. I don't know. Might it have been an old Republic government transport ship? It may be disguised from another ship. Well, that's a possibility. This ship is likely to be an older model of a old Republic or High Republic ship that was taken by pirates and sort of just pimped out, for lack of a better word, giving it more armor so that it's not getting destroyed. Like we talked about at the beginning of this episode, this ship, when they first arrive at Brutus's ship, this ship right here in the background, it looks like maybe a Venator or a Moff Gideon's Star Cruiser, just like with upgrades. You know, it just got a bunch of upgrades on it to make it more piratey, to make it more badass and armored so that the pirates don't get destroyed. So it's possible that the Onyx Cinder was once a old Republic ship or a New Republic ship, or High Republic, sorry, not New Republic, High Republic ship, that was sort of just added onto with armor or whatever it may be to make it look more piratey and maybe safe. Oh my God. You guys are crazy. Claimsies, yeah. Wyrm did call Claimsies on the new ship, that's for sure. Old Republic credit transport vessel? Well, that would be ironic. If the credit transport vessel is looking for the thing that prints credits. That would be quite ironic. It's very Nihil-like. Though in this case, Tak slapped some armor on a random ship instead of building a ship out of chunks of other ships. Yeah, the Nihil were kind of piecing together their ships. I mean, maybe the armor was pieced together to make the armor for the ship, but yeah. Let me find that. Oh, there it is. Perfect. I mean, I personally like this design a lot better. I just like the shiny look of it. It's very Naboo-esque, like a Naboo cruiser shiny kind of deal. I wonder what Jod's reaction is going to be. Or the other pirates, for that matter. They might not recognize it because of its shininess. Yeah. Richard says, I give this one an 8 out of 10. These kids are killing it. Yeah. The acting performances from these kids in this show have been incredible so far, but this episode kind of put the nail in the coffin. They deserve some type of reward for that. And the sad part is, these kids won't get a reward or an award, not reward, but an award, for their acting performance in this show because they're kid actors. That just never happens. Like with the Academy or whatever you want to call it in Hollywood, it won't happen. It just won't. First of all, it's a Star Wars show, and those don't usually win awards, especially Oscars or anything like that. Major awards. Unless it's for like best score or best whatever. Usually acting performances don't get awards in Star Wars. Just doesn't happen. But these kids, I mean, come on. Come on. Yeah. Saw's ship, it kind of actually looks like Luthen's ship a little bit. Yeah. A little bit. Yeah. A U-Wing, a little bit, yeah. The new ship is Wizard indeed. Indeed it is. Yeah. Their reward is films down the line in the future. Oh, yeah, these kids will be big-time actors for the years to come, that's for sure. I need a season 2 already, and I haven't even seen the end yet. I think a season 2 for the show is likely. It depends on how it ends, that's for sure. But it seems more and more likely every week here. Yeah. It looks a lot better with the shininess, and it's super cool. But the old one was leaking, falling apart, and it looked like it smelt. There you go. I like the new one better. I agree with that. I'm seriously missing something. LOL. I guess you are, Chris. I don't know what you're missing. Tack Reddit said that the ship is all clad in armor and ready to make the journey, but the crew still doubts At-Aten exists. But he needs all hands on deck to seize the treasure. Interesting. So he said that the ship needed to be all covered in armor because they were going to At-Aten. So he was expecting to be in some sort of fight or war for this treasure. I mean, it makes sense. We know for a fact that there is a gunner or a giant turret on top of the school on At-Aten. So it's likely these people who are on a hidden planet are ready for an attack from an outsider. Interesting. I'm sure the only reason that the Onyx Cinder survived the crash landing on At-Aten was because of that armor. But now it's gone. Yeah. I would love a season 2 of this show. Me too. Again, it fully depends on how it ends. There's still 2 episodes left. It's got to stick the landing. But a season 2 for Skeleton Crew would be fantastic, especially because where it takes place in the Star Wars timeline, in this Mandoverse, it's got to connect to other stuff. But episode 6, and we just this is the final scene. They blast off and it cuts to the credits. But episode 6 gives us a few big reveals. 1, KB's backstory and how these medical needs are very, very important, obviously. And 2, Jod. Jod has convinced the pirates to go to At-Aten, and we're all converging on At-Aten right now. The kids are blasting off in this ship going to At-Aten. The pirates and Jod are going to At-Aten. But what's strange is this frame. We don't know how they're going to get here, but at some point, the kids and Jod get back together. They're on the Onyx Cinder. Jod has got this lightsaber on his belt, and we don't know how it happens. We know that episode 7 is going to give us the backstory of Jod, how he ended up becoming a Force user, how he ended up becoming a pirate, and what his backstory is. Now, we can speculate about it, and we will quite a bit, about episode 7 and what his backstory is. But how we get to this point, probably in episode 8, I would to guess, probably in episode 8, how we get to this point will be very, very interesting. But since we have a ton more people here now than we did at the start of the stream, rank episode 6, now that we've broken it all down, rank episode 6 out of 10 in the chat. I know we did it at the start of the stream, but we got over 100 more people here now than we did then. So rank this episode out of 10 in the chat. And by the way, this poll right now, of which do you like more? 71% or 72%, 71%, 77, 71%, it's fluctuating, say the new one. Yeah. I'm going to end that poll. 9 out of 10, 5 out of 10. Holy crap, that's a low score. 10 out of 10, 9, 6.5, 9, 9, 9.8, 8, 13 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 5.5. So it seems like there's 2 different camps when it comes to this episode. One thinks it's a filler episode, it didn't really further the story, stuff like that. The other one thinks this is the best episode so far, or some people I've seen say that. We got a bunch of 10 out of 10s in the chat, meaning it's 10 out of 10. You can't get any higher than that. Meaning they look at it like the kids' performances were incredible, award worthy. Not only did it further the story a shit ton, but it gave us so much character development for these characters and leads us into the final 2 episodes with both parties, the pirates and the kids, on their way to At-Aten for this final sort of end game event. Where this show is leading to. But tell me why you gave it that score in the chat. Why are there 5 out of 10s in the chat? Why are there 10 out of 10s in the chat? 7 out of 10, 8.5, 9, 8, 8, 3 is crazy. Yeah. Yeah. One camp is a lot larger. That's true. I mean, obviously the numbers don't lie. Over 84% of you either loved or liked the episode. Yeah. But I'm interested to see why people didn't like it. Too short. So Navarro, too short made you put it at a 5 out of 10? Because the episode was too short? I agree with you that it was a very short episode. When we look at the runtimes, and I'll pull it up right here. When we look at the runtimes of these episodes, this episode was 34 minutes. It's the second shortest behind episode 2, which was 32 minutes. However, episode 2 to me is the second best episode of the show so far. So runtime doesn't really matter when what's inside the runtime is absolutely banger. Now, I will say, episode 5 right here was my first favorite episode, and it is 46 minutes. Yeah. So you can have it both ways, I guess. Because it was too short. Okay, so that seems to be the issue. It was too short, and it was kind of a filler episode. All right. Too short seems to be the message. Too short. The crab monster was stop motion. Indeed it was. Indeed it was. Jod will have flashbacks once he has his crew and helmet and saber back in his hands via the flashbacks. He will end up having to choose the kids of the pirates. Okay, let's talk about that for a second. I'm going to put up a poll in the chat. Do you think Jod was a Jedi? A Jedi who survived Order 66? Tell me in the chat, yes or no. Will we be getting Order 66 flashbacks in episode 7 of Skeleton Crew? Because episode 7, like I mentioned before, Jude Law has told us, will be the episode where we learn about his backstory, where we finally figure out who this character is. Because up until this point, 6 episodes into this 8-episode series, we have no idea. Not a single clue. All we know is he's force sensitive and a pirate. That's it. We have not a clue of what his backstory may be. Yes, he's out here quoting Qui Gon Jin, but he's not a good guy. He's just not. So tell me in the chat, do you think he was a Jedi who survived Order 66? Will we be getting Order 66 flashbacks in next week's episode? What do we think, chat? What do we think? Define Jedi? Well, when I'm talking Jedi, I mean he was with the Jedi Order before Order 66. A youngling Padawan, any type of Jedi. Could he be a Sith? Well, that's another question. I don't know. There's not many Sith in the galaxy at one time. The rule of 2 makes that sort of a tough thing to be Sith. So unless he was like a hidden apprentice to Dooku or something, I don't see him being a Sith Lord. I mean, maybe his backstory will be like that shocking. It'll be like, he was Darth Maul's secret apprentice or something like that. That'll be wild. I don't expect that to be what's going on. But he's a bad guy. Maybe he had a bad upbringing. It's possible that he was neither. There is this very small likelihood that he was not a Jedi at the Jedi Temple. He was not a Sith, but somehow he learned the Force. Maybe he had some sort of ex-Jedi teach him. That's a possibility, for sure. Oh, I Haja with a very generous $5 holla. God damn.
This is where the fun begins.
I appreciate that quite a bit. I Haja, I really do. It says, hey Mike, in honor of the Onyx Cinder's reveal and a great Jedi Knight, do an impression of Qui Gon Jin, but now he is saying, always a smaller ship. Oh, there's always a bigger fish. That's what you're saying. So I'll do you both. There's always a bigger fish. There's always a smaller ship. It sounds wrong when you say not bigger fish, but I appreciate it. I Haja, I really, really do. Yeah. It is weird the connections to Qui-Gon that they're drawing in this show. I mean, from directly quoting him in episode 5 to referring to him in this 6th episode as well, with the just because you can speak doesn't make you intelligent. multiple connections to one specific Jedi across 2 episodes is pretty strange. It leads me to believe that could we be getting Qui Gon Jinn in a flashback to Order 66, chat? Like when we get his backstory, it's not Order 66 that'll be the relevant point in his history. Like when we get Jod's backstory, whatever it may be, Order 66 will play a semi-big role in it, but it's his upbringing that we're looking forward to. And by the time of Order 66, he would be about 20-ish years old. So we're looking for his childhood. Did the Jedi Order take him away from his family? Annie K says, like I've been saying, pre-Order 66, yeah, you're right, but Order 66 will still have a role, like in how he becomes a pirate and all that stuff. No to Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon was in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. His home is ash planets. What does that mean? His home is a planet of ashy dust in the air. Yes, that's what he says on that Akron. We had a kid using the Force in The Last Jedi, but he wasn't a former Padawan. That is true. Broom Boy does wield the Force to grab that broom. However, he didn't have any training. What's up with that? I love the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Did you? I liked it a lot. I wouldn't say loved. It's not at the top of my list. The finale I loved. I'll give you that. The finale I absolutely loved. Yeah. I'd really love to see Qui-Gon again in flashbacks. Wouldn't we all? Here's the deal. There's a big question that kind of goes around, and that is who's going to show up in this Skeleton Crew series. Now, I thought it would have been Hondo Ohnaka. Seems a little less likely now. But the question still remains. Could Thrawn show up in the end? Could Luke show up in the end? What are we going to see any like Darth Plagueis just said with the super chat? Are we going to see anybody crazy as sort of a cameo or an appearance in the Skeleton Crew series? In the most likely place for there to be a cameo of some sort from maybe a side character or whoever would be in an Order 66 or any sort of flashback in this upcoming 7th episode. Because we're going back to the time where there were characters like Qui-Gon. Again, way before Order 66. But he was alive, Jod was alive during that time. So it's possible that we could be getting some sort of prequel trilogy cameo. Maybe not a Qui-Gon Jinn or an Anakin Skywalker or an Obi-Wan Kenobi, but maybe some sort of more side-ish character from the Jedi Order in this flashback in episode 7. It's definitely possible. But with that being said, tell me what you think in the chat. With 2 episodes left, are we going to be seeing anybody, any familiar faces in this Skeleton Crew series? Whether it be in a flashback or in current day. When they battle for At-Aten with the pirates, are the New Republic going to come to help? And with the New Republic, does that bring Hera Syndulla? Does that bring Ezra Bridger, Jason Syndulla? Or does that bring Carson Teva? Or Din Djarin and Grogu? Or will the remnant of the Empire show up, the heir to the Empire, Grand Admiral Thrawn, and take At-Aten to fund his war? Take the Old Republic mint so that he can fund his army to become the heir to the Empire? Or, because there's a lightsaber and a Force user and a bunch of kids, does Luke Skywalker show up and maybe take one of these kids away to his Jedi temple? There's so many possibilities when it comes to possible cameos in these next 2 episodes. But there's also the possibility that there is zero. Zip. Nada. But tell me what you think in the chat. And while you do, Darth Plagueis lives with a very generous $5 holla. Darth Plagueis, I appreciate that quite a bit. Says, Happy New Year. Happy New Year right back to you. 2025 sounds like a fake year, but it's real. And we're here. Starting the year off right with Skeleton Crew. Yeah, we did. We started off the year quite right with Skeleton Crew, and we got 2 more episodes left. So 2025, say what you will about it, it starts with Skeleton Crew. Do you think we'll see anyone crazy in the rest of the show? Again, I don't know. there's a possibility that it could go absolutely bonkers and we could see a character like Thrawn show up and take over at Atten. Or it could go the other way, and it could just be the pirates, just be Jod and the kids saving the planet. And the planet remains hidden. There was some fans who were saying that they think Mon Mothma could show up because the New Republic will come in and save at Atten, and then they'll take at Atten because they want the Old Republic mint. But that would lead to Mon Mothma, who is currently the Chancellor, to arrive on the planet because it's a hidden, lost Old Republic mint, and she'd probably come to that. Freak Zeke, what's up?
Hello there.
By the way, this poll right here has 54% of you saying, or 53% of you saying, no, you don't think Jod is a Jedi. And 46% of you, or 47% of you, saying, yes, you do. That's almost split right down the middle with 100 votes in right now. Interesting. I'll leave that up for a little bit, see where that ends off at. But if you don't think he's a Jedi, what's his backstory? Episode 7 is going to tell us what his backstory is. What is it? Jod is Kenobi's brother. Andrew, I've heard that theory before. I'm not the biggest fan. I think they threw in the fact that Kenobi has a brother just because they know. Well, it was important to his story at the time when he was talking to Leia. I don't think they threw it in there to make his brother somebody significant like Jod Na Nawood. That's just me. Maybe you're right, but that's just me. Yeah. His mom was a Jedi. Okay, well, that will bring up the character of Nina Nawood. Again, if you don't know the Nina Nawood story, it goes like this. Nina Nawood is a mysterious character that we don't know whether she exists or not. She only ever existed in one spot, and that was on Google when you looked up the cast for the Skeleton Crew series. Now, she's no longer there. So, did she ever exist, or did Google slip up? Is it possible that Nina Nawood, this mysterious Jedi character, is it possible that she was once the master to Jod? Or his mom, or his sister, or his wife, or whatever? Is she the one who taught him the Force? In these flashbacks, are we going to see a character named Nina Nawood? Or did she never exist in the first place? It's a good question. It is a good question. Jod Nobi. Oh my. His parents were Jedi, but Jedi aren't supposed to have kids. They aren't supposed to have attachments. So how are they going to have a kid named Jod if the Jedi weren't supposed to have attachments? None of the kids in these shows have any connection to the Force. Why would Luke appear? I would accept Mando and his group showing up to help in the war against the pirates like they did in the last season. I don't know if Mandalorians are really going to be helping out anybody else. They just reclaimed their home world that was turned to glass, and they're probably trying to rebuild it. So I don't know if they're really helping anybody out anytime soon. I think they got their own troubles to work on. But we don't know if any of these kids are Force sensitive. So to say that none of them are, we have no idea. And maybe Luke shows up because he's looking for the Old Republic mint as well. At this time in the galaxy, Luke's out looking for these ancient artifacts, Sith and Jedi alike. If there is a High Republic lightsaber that Jod is wielding currently, then he might be looking for that as well. Can I get some good cups follow orders in the chat, please? Bumpa. Jod and Grogu have a history? That's a possibility. They're probably about the same age, actually. Yeah, they're actually very similar in age. Because Grogu's about 50 years old right now, and so is Jod. Interesting. If they were both at the Jedi Temple, then they might know each other. That's a possibility. Indeed. The bright side of none of these pirates is that they wait. What? The bright side is that none of these pirates know what to do now, so they go incognito. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Mofo refuses to read my comments. His loss, I guess. What are you talking about? So far, no one really has shown up, have they? No. We haven't had really any familiar faces except for Vane show up in the Skeleton Crew series, which is really weird. When it takes place in the Mandoverse time period with all these possible... Well, I mean, I guess we got Last Jedi characters showing up in this last episode. Yeah. That's true. For sure. Yeah. That is true. It was great to see Leia as a child for me. Oh, in the Kenobi show? Yeah, it was great. 'Twas indeed good. Remember the Blue Shadow Virus episode? Yes, I do. In the Clone Wars? We actually just watched that fairly recently. That was an episode, or season 1, right? Yeah. Just go down to the bottom. Are you kidding me? Oh, where did his brother go? If he left and his own, and his, wait, what? If he left after his brother became a Jedi, Jod could use the Force, but Ben was chosen. So you're saying that his brother was too old? It's a possibility. It definitely is. I just don't think they're going to go that way. No. I do not. Yeah. Jod said his home planet looked like at Akron, which could have been Exegol. I don't think Exegol really looks like at Akron. Exegol was this dark, gloomy place. Yes, it had probably ash and dust, but it didn't look like a war-torn planet, you know? Yeah, no? 77. We got almost 200 people in here. We only got 77 likes, chat? What's up with that? What's up with that? His mom could have been a former Jedi. But again, Jedi weren't supposed to have attachments and kids. So I don't know about that one. Yeah. Do you guys think that Nina Nawood is a real character? Or do you think that was just some mistake that was made by somebody working over at Google? What do we think, chat? What do we think? Josh, what's up? I just binge watched Ahsoka, and man, I love it even more for the second time. Yeah, that show just keeps getting better. I think over time it'll even get even better. The fact that it ends on a cliffhanger now, just gonna keep it going. Jack, what's up? Does the ship remind you of a certain ship? Oh, why does the ship remind you of a certain ship? Well, which ship is that? Well, which ship is that? I appreciate all the good cups, follow orders. I really, really do. I really, really do. Ryan says, do you know that in the French version of episode 5, the guy who voices the captain, Captain Tack, is also the same guy who voices Hondo Unaka? Wait. What? And the guy who voiced Jude Law is the same who voiced Dash Rendgar? The guy who voices Jude Law? You mean Jude Law? What? All right, I got to fact check you on this. In the French version of episode... okay. So the guy who voices for Jude Law's character in France. I understand now. But you're saying that the voice of Hondo Unaka voiced the French version of Captain Tack Rennet? Why? That is weird. That doesn't make any sense. Why would they do that? That's how you're going to bring that's how you're going to bring, what's his name? Jim, what's the guy who voices Hondo Naka's, what's his name? Jim something. Look it up if you don't believe me. I mean, I believe you. Why would you lie about that? But I guess I'll look it up. I don't even know what to look up. Who voices Tack Rented in French? Let's find out. Let's find out. Okay, well, that didn't come up in Skeleton Crew. I don't know where I'm going to find this. I guess I'm just going to have to go on your word on this one because I don't know how I'm supposed to find this. Huh. I have no idea. I have no idea. At the end of the episode in the credits, okay. Does it credit the French-speaking people? End of the episode in the credits, and I'm looking for of episode 5. Tag rented. Credits. And what's his name again, chat? Jim something? Jim something? Jim Cummings, yes, thank you. All right, let's see. Oh, hang on. No, we'll go back. Why does it do this? When you try and look at the credits on Disney Plus, it makes it like impossible. All right, I'm just going to take your word on it because finding this is just a pain in the ass right now. Okay. But that's pretty wild. Why would they do that? What would be the purpose of that? Hey, Mike, Ryan has a cool observation. Hondo is voiced by Capra. No way! Are you kidding me? I know, I read it already. I read it already. I believe you, Ryan. I have no reason to doubt you. But the question becomes, why? Why would they get the guy who voiced Hondo Ohnaka to voice Tak Rened and not expect Star Wars fans to notice and be like, what the hell? Plus, Tak is, or at least he looked like from the frames that we got, a Weequay. And obviously his throne is made of the Weequay skull as well. I had to watch episode 6 in German. A friend of mine wanted to watch it, and then I rewatched it in English later to make sure I caught everything. I could not imagine watching a show in a different language because I don't speak any other languages. Yeah. Probably because they're going to use him for a Hondo appearance. I would love that to be the reason, but I don't know. I would certainly hope so. But here's the thing. You guys, first of all, tell me in the chat, do you think that Hondo Ohnaka will still show up in Skeleton Crew? Because before this show started, I would have said yes, 1000% yes. Now, with only 2 episodes left, it seems very unlikely. Yes, we saw his ship in like episode 2, but he wasn't there. And it could have been not even his ship at that point. It could have been somebody else's ship. And then he gets it later. Nina Nawood is back on Google? What? All right, that I can fact check. Skeleton Crew cast. Oh my God, she's back. She's back. Okay, chat. All right, so what I was saying was this character right here, of when you look up the Skeleton Crew cast, Haley Webb, Jedi Nina Nawood, she was there and then she was taken down and now she's back. This is weird. The next episode is when we're going to learn about Jod's past. And it just so happens that she's back on the Google cast after she went away for a while. This is weird. This is very weird. All right. Who do we think Jedi Nina Nawood is? The former master of Jod? I don't think Jod Na Nawood is his real name. I just don't. He's given us a million different names from Dash Zenton to Captain Silvo to Crimson Jack and more. Maybe Jod is just not his real name either. And he took the Nawood name from his former master. Or somebody who taught him the Force. It's possible that Jod wasn't a Jedi, but he learned the Force from a Jedi. Maybe after Order 66. It's possible. Her episode is coming. I mean, if she was going to be in any episode, it would be episode 7 in this sort of flashback or anything. Nina is Snowball, and Jar Jar is the supervisor. Oh my God, you guys are crazy. But this is pretty interesting. The fact that she's back, like they took her down and then brought her back, is weird. It's very weird. I don't know. That is pretty weird. All right, let's talk about this. So I found this article from comicbook.com, and they think that Skeleton Crew is going to have this last-minute twist. And I honestly think that there could be a last-minute twist as well, possibly seeing Thrawn show up, possibly seeing Luke Skywalker show up. But their idea when it comes to this twist doesn't have to do with either of those options. Actually, it has to do with the First Order in the sequel trilogy. So some fans thought once we learned about At-Aten being a lost planet, before we knew it was an Old Republic lost planet or whatever, people thought it was a First Order sort of breeding ground where they were breeding the stormtroopers for the First Order. It was a good theory at the time, but then once we learned more about At-Aten, it kind of got thrown out the window. However, comicbook.com, and this was posted yesterday, tend to think that this could still have to do with the First Order. So let's read this, and I'm interested to see what you guys think. I'm worried that Star Wars Skeleton Crew will have a last-minute twist. It's not that they think it will have, they're worried about it. Well, let's keep reading. Through 6 of the 8 episodes of Season 1 of Skeleton Crew, it has done a lot to stand out from the crowd. The Swashbuckling Space Pirate series shares, that's a lot of S's, more in common with the Goonies than The Mandalorian, and that's what makes it a great experience for Star Wars fans. Not that there's anything wrong with The Mandalorian, but we needed something refreshing from Star Wars, something new and refreshing. That hasn't been bogged down by the franchising of it all. So not something that was just more Mandalorian, more of this, more of Ahsoka, more of that. It's new characters, it's a new story, it's something fresh, new, and exciting. Skeleton Crew has been exactly that, but there's a fear I can't quite shake as the finale approaches in a couple of weeks. This show has been so perfectly detached from the rest of the Star Wars franchise, which has not been the MO with Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau's era to this point. This is what I was saying last stream, all last week actually. The fact of the matter is, this show is going to connect to everything else. At some point, it will connect to everything else, whether it's Thrawn, whether it's Luke, whether it's the First Order, whether it's the Empire, whether it's whatever. It will connect to everything else because of Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. Because these two are attached to it, they have been piecing together this interconnected universe that we have dubbed the Mandoverse. So because these two are connected to this series, it would make sense that this show is connected to the rest of the stories. To Mando, to Ahsoka, to the Book of Boba Fett, and to the greater Star Wars timeline at this point. Thrawn, maybe Luke, we'll find out. But what they're saying, the person writing this article is saying, Skeleton Crew has been so great because it's been detached from the rest of the Star Wars universe. That hasn't been what usually Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have been doing. So far, everything has had a tie to something else, pushing one of the grander narratives of the Star Wars franchise forward, and keeping anything that from feeling wholly original. Is Skeleton Crew going to suffer from that same fate? I don't know if obviously it's spinning it in a more negative light. I don't know if this is a negative thing. And tell me if you agree with them in the chat. Do you think Skeleton Crew connecting to other Star Wars projects is a bad thing? Because I don't. Star Wars is a very cool and interesting universe that everything is interconnected. So anything that takes place even hundreds of years before, like The Acolyte, is still going to connect to aspects of the Star Wars universe. Everything should feel like it exists in the same place, especially when it takes place in the Mandoverse time period, because it should connect to all the other stories that are happening in the galaxy. No, I like connections. There you go. Not a negative for me. I agree. I think it should connect. Maybe not in a drastic way, but it definitely should connect. But this article is putting it in a negative light, so keep that in mind as we keep reading. And talking about it being original, I mean, the show is original. Just because something connects to something else doesn't make it an original concept. It's like saying that The Empire Strikes Back is an original from A New Hope because it's a sequel to it. It's still an original idea. Well, let's keep going. Let me rephrase that a bit. Is Skeleton Crew going to deliver some big out-of-nowhere twist in the final episode that ties the entire story into another Star Wars thing? I hope so. Let me be really clear. I hope this happens. This article is saying no, I hope that not. It's a bad thing. I hope it is. I hope it does happen. Because we got a big movie coming up next year. Yeah, that's right. We're in 2025 now. The Mandalorian and Grogu movie is next year. So we got a big Star Wars movie coming next year that needs to tie in to all of this. With Thrawn, Heir to the Empire, all that stuff. So I hope it does. Well, let's keep going. The whole show takes place at the start of the New Republic, around the time of The Mandalorian. And it's a miracle that those two shows don't have any shared DNA yet. Where is this already wrong, chat? This article is already wrong. Vane, one of the pirates from The Mandalorian, is in Skeleton Crew. Now, it's not a drastic connection, but it is wrong. It's already connected. But let's keep going. What worries me even more than The Mandalorian, though, is the whole At-Atten situation is actually going to have something to do with the grand story of the Empire. So let's talk about this. Not to pile onto The Rise of Skywalker, because it's gotten plenty of well-deserved criticism over the last 5 years, but do you remember how ridiculous it felt when everything we'd been watching for 2 movies suddenly tied back to Palpatine? Just when it felt like the sequel trilogy was breaking into its own territory, everything came crashing back to something familiar. So it seems the sequel trilogy is very tough because you have people who really, really love The Last Jedi and hate The Rise of Skywalker, and you have people who really, really love The Rise of Skywalker who hate The Last Jedi, or you have a lot of people who really, really hate both of them. So it's a really, really tough conversation to have. These people clearly don't like The Rise of Skywalker because it ties back to Palpatine. I think Palpatine should have been the villain from the beginning, but it should have been the idea from the beginning. Palpatine coming back wasn't planned from the start. If it was, it could have been executed even better, and you could have had even more sort of teases towards it in the earlier parts of the trilogy. Again, I don't think it was a bad thing. It was executed poorly. It would be a real shame for the same thing to happen to Skeleton Crew, but it is a possibility that can't be ruled out just yet. At-Atten has been revealed to be the last Old Republic mint, which appears to be the reason that everyone is so obsessed with finding it. If that's all that's happening in Skeleton Crew, it's great news because it doesn't need to tie into anything else from the franchise's pasts for it to work in this show. Well, it kind of does to have to work to get a second season and to tie into The Mandalorian and Grogu. The fear right now is whether or not the ability to produce currency is the only secret being hidden on At-Atten. Maybe there's another. There is another. Think about all the mystery, the data analysis taking place on the planet. And then there's the faceless supervisor, which we haven't even talked about on today's live stream yet. We'll get to it. Don't worry about it. The supervisor, we'll talk about it. The faceless supervisor, who has been only mentioned to this point, but looms large over the planet's activity. Could the supervisor be the leftover officers of the fallen empire? What if At-Atten is at the center of the birth of the First Order? There's the thoughts that keep me up every Tuesday night. There you go. Those things would obviously be a whole lot better than secret plot about Bacta resurrection and cloning techniques, but neither is ideal. Skeleton Crew is really a special thing, and it has the opportunity to keep being a special thing for any number of seasons. The galaxy is Skeleton Crew's oyster right now. Anything is possible. We've been introduced to a corner of the Star Wars universe that is largely untouched. But what has come before? By what has come before? Just think a second about how rare that is. Let me finish this and we'll talk about it. The last thing I want to see is that opportunity wasted on yet another failed attempt to mine nostalgia for a few more dollars. Star Wars it's at its very best when it's trying new things. It's exactly what Skeleton Crew is doing right now. And it would be the best if the brain trust at Lucasfilm would just get out of the way. Okay, let's talk about this for a second. Obviously, it spins this in a very, very, very negative light. Talking about how connecting to anything else like the sequel trilogy or anything, relying on nostalgia, would be a bad thing. When has Star Wars ever, except for A New Hope, when has Star Wars ever created something new that didn't rely on nostalgia? The answer is never. Any Star Wars project that has been created, from the sequel trilogy to the prequel trilogy to anything, it's been reliant on nostalgia, but that's not what it's intended to do. These characters exist because of the timeline that they currently reside in. So seeing the Din Djarin show up, seeing Grand Admiral Thrawn show up, seeing Luke Skywalker show up would be for the story and not just for nostalgic purposes. It would make sense in the way of setting up what's to come next. The same thing with the prequel trilogy. Is Obi-Wan and Anakin being the main characters of the prequel trilogy nostalgia? Just for nostalgic's sake? No, it's because of the main freaking characters of the freaking trilogy. So it wouldn't be that making this connect to maybe the First Order or maybe the Grand Admiral Thrawn and the heir to the Empire. That wouldn't be making it just nostalgia for nostalgia's sake, to make a quick buck. It's to further the story that they're trying to tell. Grand Admiral Thrawn needs to be a big threat in the Star Wars galaxy. He needs to be the heir to the Empire. And they have to set that up. It's not just Ahsoka bringing Thrawn back to the galaxy is enough. They have to set him up to be this big threat that people are scared of. He has to be on the same level as Palpatine, as Vader. And that's very, very difficult to do. And somebody said it in the chat, this article sucks. It's not that the article sucks. It's more so the person that wrote it had a negative look on it. But I want to go back to what they were talking about. Could this At-Aten planet have a connection to the Empire or the First Order? Now, I think not, because At-Aten has been hidden for so long. The First Order in the Empire wouldn't know about it. But they also bring up the question of the supervisor. Let's talk about it. The supervisor seems to be a very, very important piece to this puzzle. With only 2 episodes left, whoever the supervisor is will be a big deal. I don't think it's likely to be somebody who's alive. It'll probably be a droid of some sort. But even still, it will be a massive deal as to who this supervisor is. They've been hyping it up for 6 episodes now, and whoever it is going to be a big reveal. Whoever's in charge of this hidden planet, keeping them secluded from the rest of the galaxy, that'll be a big deal. And that'll likely happen in episode 8 to me. But tell me what you think in the chat. Who is the supervisor? Tell me what you think in the chat. I saw I missed a couple super chats. Let me go back up here for a sec. Selena with a very generous $5 holla. I appreciate that, Selena, quite a bit. Says, why is she called Jedi Nina Nawood and not Jedi Anakin? And why is it not Jedi Anakin Skywalker or Jedi Luke Skywalker? Honestly, I don't know. I think it's to tell us that she's a Jedi. I think it's to sort of leak out the fact that she is a Jedi. I think Lucasfilm does this from time to time, where they leak out information on purpose to get people excited for something or get people speculating about something. I think they do that on purpose. Whether this Jedi Nina Nawood is on purpose or not, that remains to be clear. But it's possible that they leaked this on purpose, and the word Jedi is there for a reason. But I appreciate it, Selena. I really, really do. Very, very generous. Inklet says, next crochet is Catholips. Nice. A Queen trash impression, please. Queen trash impression? I really don't know what she sounds like. Hang on. I don't know. Let's find out.
Sir? Ma'am?
I really don't know how to make that noise. So there's your tetanus impression. That's my attempt. I appreciate it, Inklet. I really, really do. Okay. Magnificent Seven says, I mentioned it several times that the Maw can be seen in the sky over at Aten. The Maw? It's a location of the prison of Abeloth in the Mortis Arc in Ahsoka. Connection achieved. You think... Wait, what? You're saying that you can see that in the sky above at Aten? I'm going to need evidence of that. Because Abeloth is likely to be a prisoner on Peridia, where we left in Ahsoka Season 1. Yeah. I don't think so on that one. Guest appearances by more established characters would be great. The main characters are all famous enough in the Star Wars universe to be mentioned or even make an appearance in the show. I agree with that. Getting a mention of a character would work just as well. Yeah. Well, here's the deal. Episode 7 is going to give us a flashback of some sort, whether it's to Order 66, whether it's to the prequel trilogy, whatever it is. In that flashback, we could be seeing some familiar faces. Now, it doesn't mean it will be like a Anakin or a Obi-Wan, but maybe some sort of like a Glub Shido, as they like to call them. Some sort of background-ish character that could appear. Yeah. You still believe it's Babu Frick's brother? I doubt it. I don't know how long the Enzellans can live. That's the deal. KG says, the reason purists, who don't like new stuff, hate it because it's all nostalgia-based, but they don't understand that what they love was also nostalgia-based. They just didn't see it. The stuff now, and I understand the sequel trilogy more so than anything else, because the sequel trilogy did rely on nostalgia a lot, but it's not that it relied on nostalgia. It was necessary. You wanted Luke, Leia, and Han. How are you going to get Luke, Leia, and Han without nostalgia? It's the same thing that's said about The Mandalorian. Everybody's a broad statement. Everybody loves The Mandalorian. It's nostalgia. That's all it is. It's all going to be nostalgia forever. Star Wars is nostalgia since sarcasm and tech support since 1977. You know what else has happened since 1977? Nostalgia. Because guess what? You can't make another Star Wars project that isn't reliant on nostalgia, because everybody who watches Star Wars already has some pre-existing notion of what Star Wars is to them. And if it doesn't feel like that, then it doesn't feel nostalgic to them, and then it doesn't feel like Star Wars. I think I made my point. Okay, where was I? Who do you guys think is the supervisor? Oh yeah, today we did hit 105,000 subscribers on the channel, so thank you for that. I appreciate it. Mike, I can say that you're the only Star Wars fan YouTuber that can properly report cool Star Wars content and be funny at the same time. Good job, man. Well, thank you. I wouldn't say that I'm the only one. I know of some good Star Wars YouTubers out there, but I appreciate that quite a bit. Yeah. Wasn't it odd that we didn't get any hints to who the supervisor was on at Akron? Why didn't we see a body or a destroyed droid or something like that from the supervisor's tower? That is interesting. That definitely shouldn't go without recognition. Yeah. Why didn't we see who the supervisor was in the supervisor's tower on at Akron? See, now we're asking the good questions, Robert. I predict the supervisor will remain an unseen character to keep intrigue and curiosity going in the show. But here's the deal, Grill Fit Warrior. There's only 2 episodes left in this show. That's it. And in those 2 episodes, we know for a fact that we will be going into the supervisor's tower on At-Aten. And we know that from this. Where is it? There. This. We see Wyrm, we see Fern, we see their parents all in the supervisor's tower looking up at something. We don't know what it is, but they're looking up at something. Sigourney Weaver is the to connect to the Mandoverse? That would be kind of interesting. I don't think she'd be the supervisor, but maybe. Just end the show with Wyrm going to train with Luke and then have an ending scene, an announcement for a Luke's Jedi Academy show. Honestly, as much as I would love a Luke's Jedi Academy show, I want it to be animated. I want it to be animated for a few different reasons. One, it probably costs a shit ton of money to deepfake Luke, and they might run out of money. And, well, not run out, but you know what I mean. It might cost too much for it to be a played out story. So it would only be 8 episodes. It would be very minimal Luke. And in animation, you can get away with getting all the Luke, Leia, and Han that you want and getting voice actors to do them. Also, their past, their history with animated shows, from Rebels to Clone Wars to Bad Batch to Tales of the Jedi, it's incredible. The amount of amazing storytelling that they've done in animation for Star Wars is so good. And to add a Luke Skywalker Jedi Temple show that could be 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons, it could be like even bigger for the sequel trilogy than the Clone Wars was for the prequel trilogy. Yeah. Star Wars politics, what's up? I agree with you, Mike, on the animation stories. They appeal much better to fans who like animation. Well, that's the problem with it. Like, there's a good side and a bad side. More normie fans, for lack of a better word, they don't watch the animated stuff. So there's a lot of fans who don't even know or didn't know before Ahsoka came out who Ahsoka was, because she only existed in animation. Same can be said about the Rebels crew, Ezra, Sabine, Hera, Chopper. But it's a bummer because those animated shows don't get the same amount of views that the live action shows do. Yeah. For sure. I don't see the need to scream to try and explain things that are evident. Star Wars equally falls as long as they depend on nostalgia and no real effort. It could not be more false. It's Kevin from She-Hulk. No. Kim will return in the next 2 episodes because KB will contact her. I think that's why the New Republic will come to help on At-Aten. In this last episode, episode 6, it was important that the kids saw the X-Wings, realized that the X-Wings were the good guys, that when they're in trouble on At-Aten in episode 7 or episode 8, KB will have to call KB in the New Republic for help. Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Animated Luke show would be crazy. It would be crazy. Oh, it could show some crazy Jedi moves. Yeah. Well, I mean, look at the Clone Wars. If we could get any sort of a fraction of that, a fraction of how good the Clone Wars and Rebels are in a Luke Skywalker Jedi Temple show with Luke, Leia, Han, in the galaxy at large at that time. Like, it's not just going to be about Luke's Jedi Temple. Yes, that'll be the main focus. Kylo Ren, his fall to the dark side, but it will also show Palpatine's pull in the background, the rise of the First Order, Snoke coming into power, and the New Republic's fall. Leia being taken out of the Senate because of her connection to Darth Vader. All that stuff. Han and Leia's separation, that can be shown in like a 5-season animated show. And you can really spend your time with those characters. Those filler episodes that we talk about in Clone Wars and in Rebels, those are really important for character development. You spend so much time with Ahsoka in those filler episodes. You spend so much time with Ezra and Sabine in those filler episodes. So spending time with Kylo Ren or Ben Solo and Luke on a mission in what's called a filler episode. It will be very, very important and very, very strong and make you feel a different way about the interactions between Kylo and Luke in the sequel trilogy. Yeah. Indeed. To be honest, I think Disney is scared of Luke. I don't. Because Luke is the only one that they've brought back. I think they might be even scared of Han or Leia. And I think they're scared of Han because of what happened with the Solo movie. They tried to recast Han Solo, and the Solo movie bombed. It lost them money. So I think they're scared of Han. And maybe Leia too, because Carrie Fisher's passed away. But Luke, they've brought back a couple times. So maybe they're scared to do him too much, but yeah. Yeah. Mike, you're teasing us with these animated theories. I want them to be true. I want them to be true. Yeah. That's the thing. Don't forget about Lego Star Wars. Now buried Kyber crystal? What? What are you talking about? All right, let me end this poll. It's been up there for a while, and it's got over 170 votes. This is one of the closest polls we've had in a long, long time. Here's the deal. We're going to learn whether or not Jod is a Jedi or not in Episode 7 regardless. So in Episode 7, we will learn what Jod's backstory is. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But right now, do you think that Jod is a Jedi? With 170 votes in, 51% of you say no, and the math is not mathing, but 51% of you say no, no, and 49% of you say yes. That's 1% off from 50-50. So we only got like 5-6 days until we learn Jod's backstory. But whether he's a Jedi or not, we seem to be split right down the middle. And that's pretty wild. That's pretty wild. Episode 7, I think Jod and Jude Law has said it's his favorite episode. I think it could be the best episode of the series. Hopefully the finale is the best, but I think episode 7, up until this point, has the possibility to be the best of the series. Yeah. Indeed. Star Wars Politics says, I actually think the Disney Plus animated show about Luke, Leia, and Han would really appeal to normie fans. It would. But even still, they wouldn't watch it. I mean, maybe some of them would. Maybe it would drag a few people over to animation, and that would be a win. But I don't think it would bring all of them over, you know? Probably more than the Clone Wars or Rebels. Yeah, for sure. Rebels was a weird thing because it wasn't really like Clone Wars had the draw of Anakin and Obi-Wan. It was two of them. It was everybody. It was the main characters. It was Palpatine. It was Mace Windu. It was Dooku. It was everything. Rebels didn't really have that. It was a brand new cast of characters. Now, Rebels, to me, is the best, but that's just my personal opinion. But it's all brand new characters, so it didn't get the same love that the Clone Wars did. Yeah. They just can't name it anything like Jedi Academy. I wonder what they would name it. Something about the New Republic, maybe? I don't know. Solo didn't bomb because of the recast. It bombed because it was competing with Avengers and Deadpool. Well, there's a lot to do with the bombing of Solo. Yes, it partially had to do with the recast. I mean, people loved Harrison Ford as Han Solo. It's iconic, and the recast did turn a bunch of people off. Not me, but it did turn some people away from the movie. Yes, it was competing with Avengers and Deadpool in the same month, in the same week, actually, for a few of them. And it's the first movie after The Last Jedi. And The Last Jedi divided the Star Wars fandom insanely. So yeah, there was a lot working against the Solo movie. But to Disney, it lost money. And that's a big deal. Yeah. Jedi Academy sounds childish and would turn away some normie fans. Yeah. I don't know what they would call it. 93 likes out of 200 people. What's going on here? What the hell? Smash a freaking like on the stream if you have not already. I appreciate it. How do you think Jod knows the quote from Qui Gon Jin? Yeah, that's the thing. Like, how is he not a Jedi if he knows quotes from Qui Gon? But then again, he knows the Jedi way. Maybe he learned it from somebody else, but he doesn't really follow it. yes, the no attachments things is something that the Jedi have, but he sees it more as no attachments to anybody, and everybody who's against him is the enemy. He takes it in more sort of a negative light. Yeah. It will all connect. I agree with that. I agree with that. Mike, do you think that Jod is the broom kid from The Force Awakens? Does the timeline fit? No, it does not. I like the question, but it definitely does not. Jod is like 50 during the time of this show, and this show takes place like 20 years before The Last Jedi. So no, it does not fit. I like the question though. Joshua says the old timers want more bounty hunters and Han Solo type stuff. Then Solo didn't do well. Disney is right to always create new characters and focus on more than the Empire and the bounty hunting. Disney has done some incredible things over the 12 years, 13 years coming up on that they've owned the company. But creating new characters is something they're really, 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 really good at. I mean, think about all the new characters that we have in Disney Star Wars. The entire Rebels crew, right off the bat. But you got characters like Cal Kestis, Din Djarin, Grogu, that are just, now, of course, the entire Skeleton Crew cast. They're really good at creating new characters. Yeah. The Solo bomb prevented Luke from being recast in Mando? I think so. Yes. I think so. They might be saving those stories for comics and books, especially with the New Republic stories coming to an end. No. They definitely would not just do those stories in books and comics. There needs to be, because talk about nobody really reading those. Nobody really reads the comics and the books. Yes, some very, very hardcore fans do. Myself, I find myself to be a pretty hardcore Star Wars fan. I don't read every book or every comic that comes out. I read some of them. I read some arcs. I read the War of the Bounty Hunters and all the Crimson Dawn stuff. And I read a lot of, I read the first phase of the High Republic novels, but I don't read it all. If you're going to tell a story in there, it's going to be lost in translation. Yeah. Job would have to be like the Benjamin Button to be Broom Boy. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think that's happening. Yeah. The Bad Batch. Yes, the Bad Batch are also brand new characters too. Oh my God, Mike is the supervisor? I think we're going to have to end the stream.
I got a bad feeling about this.
No. Okay. Yeah. Oh, Chimere, of course. Chimere is one of the greatest characters of all time. Indeed. Indeed. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about this. I have another article coming up from Screen Rant, and I want to get to before we get on out of here. Actually, before we even get to that, let's talk about this. So episode 6 was great and all, but can we talk about this? Bryce Dallas Howard. She's done it again. I mean, every single episode that she touches turns to gold. When is she going to get her own either show or movie or something along those lines? She needs more, Chad. She needs more. Balin and Shin. Yeah, Balin and Shin are also great new characters. That's what I'm saying, though. Like, all they do is just create banger after banger new character. And still people sit here and say, Disney ruined Star Wars. Sorry. Yeah. All right, let's get to this article, shall we? So, at Atton's location revealed. We know where Star Wars Treasure Planet really is. Oops, sorry. And its massive implications for the Star Wars Skeleton Crew and the Mando universe. So, warning: this article contains spoilers for Skeleton Crew episode 6. Oh, by the way, chat, there will be spoilers for episode 6 and 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1 in this live stream. So if you haven't watched those episodes, you might just want to click away, or you might have wanted to click away an hour and 50 minutes ago. Yeah. Okay. The young heroes of Star Wars Skeleton Crew have spent the show's first season trying to find their way home. And at Atton's exact location was finally revealed, thanks to dedicated Star Wars fans analyzing every last detail, we have more information on the jewels of the Old Republic and how it connects to the franchise's lore. So, thankfully enough, people have translated this. This offers several clues about how Star Wars may explore the Old Republic era in canon. You'll love to hear that, because we want the Old Republic era as soon as possible. However, At-Atten's location also raises more immediate connections to ongoing Star Wars movies and TV shows, while also has been clear that the various Mandoverse shows would cross over at some point in the Dave Filoni Mandoverse crossover movie, likely in one of the upcoming Star Wars movies, Mando movies. There's now a clear way for Skeleton Crew characters to take a part in that story. At-Atten itself may prove crucial now that new details of its history have surfaced. I like this article already a lot more. Let's keep going. Star Wars fans have figured out the galactic coordinates to At-Atten. Shortly before Skeleton Crew Episode 6 dropped on Disney+, Star Wars fans page Drunk Wookie posted a thread highlighting hidden details from the show that translated coordinates to At-Atten and revealed the treasure planet is located in the Quelli sector. Sector, which is close to worlds like Dothamir and Dothamir!
This is where the fun begins.
Hey, chat. Do we know who just arrived on? Do we know who just arrived on Dothamir? Looks like when we called me crazy last week about all my Grand Admiral Thrawn showing up predictions by the end of this series, y'all thought I was crazy. Who's crazy now, chat? Who's crazy now? Let's keep reading. So Dothamir is the home world of the Night Sister Witches that has been featured prominently in the animated TV shows. But let's talk about this. I bit my cheek when I was yelling at you guys. It hurt quite a bit, but I had to stay in character. Son of a nutcracker. Okay. Where was I? Cathar, is it Cathar? Cathar, whatever. Meanwhile, is connected to the Old Republic era. In the original Star Wars expanded universe, known now as Legends, two notable Old Republic Jedi were from Cathar. Salavar? Sure. From the comics series Star Wars Tales of the Jedi, which is not the Tales of the Jedi that it is today. It's a completely different comic run from the Old Republic era. And Johnny from the video game Knights of the Old Republic. These are fitting connections since At-Atten is the last Old Republic mint, and Wyrm grew up on stories about Jedi Knights. So it makes sense, because he grew up on stories about Jedi Knights, that At-Atten would be near planets that have connections to Jedi. Another notable planet near At-Atten, At-Atten's coordinates, is Taris, or Taurus? Sure. A world destroyed by the Sith in the Knights of the Old Republic, like At-Atten. Taris was a wealthy and prosperous planet. Sorry, like At-Atten, Taris was a wealthy and prosperous planet, until it was destroyed. Much like the other jewels of the Old Republic, perhaps Taris and At-Atten have a shared history, one that could be explored in the future of Star Wars projects. So right there, At-Atten is close to two Old Republic planets, while also close to Dothamir. Keep that in mind. At-Atten's location ties directly to the Mandoverse. Here we go. Skeleton Crew is set around the same time as The Mandalorian and its spin-offs, making the Mandoverse connection more fitting. Cathar is one of the worlds devastated in the Mandalorian Wars in the Old Republic era, giving the region of historical connection to the Mandalorians. At-Atten is not far away from Mandalore itself, raising several opportunities for Skeleton Crew characters to show up in other Mandoverse projects. So it's pretty close to Mandalore too. The pirate Vane from The Mandalorian Season 3 is already appeared in Skeleton Crew, providing a link between Din Djarin and the Skeleton Crew cast. Din Djarin also agreed to work with the New Republic, and X-Wings have already shown up a few times in key moments in the Skeleton Crew series. The kids' adventure could even take them to Mandalore itself. This I don't see being likely, as they are currently on their way back home. But hey, you never know. Where Mandalorians are known to be sympathetic to lost children, of course. Has At-Atin been responsible for the Empire's economic might? So this is again connecting it to the Empire. One of the darkest and most relevant connections established by At-Atin's location could be the Imperial Remnant. Despite being exiled into the Outer Rim and operating in secret, the Imperial Remnant has somehow stayed relatively well-funded. From research, military operations, and a well-run spy network. Mandalorian Season 3 also revealed that Moff Gideon had a base on Mandalore the whole time. And Mandalore, of course, is close to At-Atin. The people of At-Atin spoke of the great works, which must refer to some new credits, making new credits, sorry. But who are they making them for? The Old Republic is gone, and the New Republic has no idea that At-Atin exists. So maybe the planet is the Empire's secret source of wealth. This would be a shocking reveal that considerably raises the stakes for Star Wars Skeleton Crew and makes the plot relevant to several upcoming Star Wars projects. Okay, so let's talk about this. Not only are the coordinates to At-Atin very close to Mandalore and 2 Old Republic planets, but also Dathomir. Now, this article does dive into how it could be connected to Mandalore and the Mandalorians and the New Republic and whatever, and how At-Atin might be funding the Imperial Remnant right now, but it doesn't really touch on Dathomir, which I think, personally, is the most important planet that they just mentioned in that article. Dathomir is where Thrawn is. So the fact that At-Atin is confirmed to be very close in location to Dathomir could be very, very important come the back half of this show. Last 2 episodes of this series. That's pretty wild, chat. That's insane. Think about that. It also does confirm that, well, we already knew this, but Dathomir is close to Mandalore. So I think to prove that Thrawn is a big threat in the Mandoverse movie, I think Thrawn might actually take over Mandalore. So I know the Mandalorians just got their home planet back, and they were like, hooray, yeah, we did it, whatever. They might get it taken away from them very, very quickly, but that's a whole nother story for the Mandoverse. We're talking Skeleton Crew right now. And the fact of the matter is, Thrawn might show up in the finale. And now, more than ever, it makes a lot of sense because Dathomir is right next door. You know what I mean? Very, very close in proximity in the galaxy to At-Atin. That's pretty wild. So not only does the location of At-Atin, specifically in the universe, tie to the Old Republic, but it also ties to the Mandalorian and Grand Admiral Thrawn. That's pretty genius. That's pretty dang cool. So what do we think? What is the likelihood now, chat, that Grand Admiral Thrawn will show up? And do you think At-Atin is funding the remnant of the Empire? Because let's talk about this. Somebody brought this up in the last stream, or a couple streams ago, that if At-Atin is still producing credits, who are they sending them to? Because all these people on At-Atin are still working. They're all still processing this money, processing these credits. They're all doing something. So who's benefiting from that? It's not the New Republic. We know that for a fact. But is it the Empire? What do we think, chat? What do we think, chat? At-Atin has been funding so much for so long, but somebody powerful enough has been keeping it all hidden. Well, what if it was Palpatine? What if Palpatine, when he took over the galaxy, took over At-Atin and just told the people of At-Atin that the Republic was still going strong, but the rest of the galaxy had no idea that it even still existed? How did the credits get off the planet? Where did they go? That's also a question, too. If nobody can enter or exit the planet, then how are they getting the credits on and off the planet? Jod is Snoke? No. I don't think so. The people behind the supervisor are bots? I think so. I think they'll be robots. Droids. I think At-Aten is the bank of Bravos. So I think it's very relevant. Thrawn will take over At-Aten, but not yet. I think it becomes a part of the New Republic first in the in the show's finale, and then Thrawn will take over at some point. Interesting. So you think the New Republic will take it over first, and then Thrawn will take it over to fund his army? Interesting. Calling this Old Republic Mint the Great Works is pretty weird. It is weird, especially when the High Republic Chancellor So, or Lena So, she had these sort of things called the Great Works. Yeah. Plagueis is a Mun who have deep ties to money. Somehow there could be a connection there. Probably not. He's a Mun and he has a connection to the banking clan, but not really to At-Aten at all. I think this show takes place before The Mandalorian Season 3. And maybe even before Season 1. No. And here's why. Vane leaves Gorian Shard at the end of Mando Season 3 to go join Silva and Brutus. So it can't take place before that, because then Vane would be off with Gorian Shard. Thrawn will take it over first from Jod, and Snoke will take it over from Thrawn. Well, Thrawn's not going to last that long. He is going to be the heir to the Empire, but he won't last that long. Does that make the Skeleton Crew the bad guys? If they are making the money for those who are bad? Maybe. I mean, if the people of At-Aten are making the money for the bad guys, does that make them bad guys? Or does that just make them sort of affiliated with the bad guys? There will be a confusion with the children that they feel they are good guys and their parents are working for the bad guys. Yeah, there'll be some confusion there if that's what's really going on here. Yeah. I think the Great Works have nothing to do with the credits. Whoa. I think it's more about the number of different species on the planet. It's like a doomsday vault if they have to restart if something disastrous happens. No. I like the theory, but I don't think so. It definitely has to do with the Old Republic Mint. Yeah. Because what John Watts said about the kids' ages being different, or time jump for Season 2, well, you're going to have a time jump anyway because you'll have Ahsoka Season 2 and the Mandalorian and Grogu movie in between. So you'll already have that time jump. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, with that, we've just passed over the 2-hour mark. I do have to get on out of here. We got a lot of speculating to do. This is not the end. From Jod being a Jedi or not to this strange location that At-Aten exists in, very close to Dathomir and other Old Republic connections, we got a lot to speculate about. So watch out for a live stream on Saturday and, of course, live stream on Monday to predict episode 7, because we're live streaming now every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday until Skeleton Crew is over. But watch out for those live streams and, of course, videos on every other day. Watch out for a short today at 5. And, yeah, this was a fun one. This was a very, very fun one. We got a lot to speculate about this week. Really not a lot of answers, but we got a lot to speculate this week. So I appreciate you guys. Smash a freaking like on the stream if you have not already. How many likes do we have now? 110? That's all right. That's good enough. But if you haven't yet, smash a freaking like on the stream now. If you are not yet in the Discord, there's a link in the description below to a Discord called The People Who Love Star Wars. Go join that Discord. We got a lot of fun conversations going on in there. Happy New Year's to all you guys. I hope 2025 is just as good as 2024, if not better for everybody. Hope it's going to be a fun year for Star Wars and for all of us here at the channel. So I appreciate all you guys so much more than you will ever know. Liam, what's up? Yeah. But until then, smash a freaking like on the stream. Hit that subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified every time I post a video in my pretty face. Show up the recommended feed of yours. Watch out for that short in about an hour. Scheduled it to post at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so watch out for that. And yeah. Until then, may the Force be with you. Always. Oh, yeah. What a great stream. What a great show. You guys are the absolute best. I appreciate all you guys so much more than you will ever know. A great start to the new year, if I do say so myself. This was one of the best streams of all time in channel history. We had so many people here, so it was awesome. It's a great way to kick off the year. Hopefully we stay this way for the rest of the year. But Skeleton Crew's got 2 episodes left, and I can't wait for them. Will Jod be a Jedi? Only time will tell. Will At-Atten play into the Old Republic? Will Thrawn show up? Will Luke show up? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. Until then, I hope you have a great rest of your evening, great rest of your lives, and good night, everybody.